Something that I really loved about my character was that she says whatever is on her mind. She doesn't hold too much back, so I really appreciate that about her.
Um, Something I really love about him, in much the same vein as Sadie, is that Roger is not afraid of confrontation, and he's a little bit stubborn, so that is a little bit of a departure from me as a person. So it was really fun to dig into that. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Okay. I would say that I'll start with the negative, so that we can end on a positive note for Sadie. Um, she's willing. Well, I don't want to give too much away. All right. I hope you've watched this by the by the time you're watching this interview, but well, let's just put it this way: she's willing to leave our son alone with me. I'll just put it that way. But one of the best qualities of Sadie is really her maternity and how much she loves Junior, and what she goes through and sacrifices for him. It's really inspiring.
So this is the best and worst? The best and worst traits? Okay. All right. Let's start with the worst. The worst trait would be slovenliness, just, being complacent and having no aspiration. Just
A lot of traits you got there, Sadie.
and I think that really, really upset Sadie, obviously. And then the best trait, there's got to be something there because they were really into each other at one point. Maybe that he has fun and sort of brings out that side of Sadie that wants to have fun. So Sean was really, really open to doing improv, not during the film exactly, but for rehearsals. I really like to go deep into things that happened before the movie started and sort of running through different scenarios that got us to where we are during the movie. So Sean was just really open to that, and we had fun playing with our characters, exploring different scenarios. That was really awesome.
Yeah, exactly what Kim said. So we come from different acting training backgrounds, but like Kim was also very open to trying new things and extremely collaborative. So when we met in rehearsals, both at RNF Entertainment, and then we had a few on our own together outside of that, just to really be more comfortable with each other. I think that deepening our relationship just as friends in real life, and in a sense co-workers, we were able to really find Roger and Sadie on a deeper level. We met, I think it was eight rehearsals at RNF Entertainment in their studio. I would say it was a mixture between blocking rehearsals and character development rehearsals. So in the beginning, we all talked with Devani, who directed it, about what was inspiring him for the characters, and he gave us some really wonderful sources to go to get ideas for the characters, things that had inspired him. So, like in Roger's case, the film The Big Lebowski was his source of inspiration for Roger. And he wanted me to use that for some ideas. And then a lot of it was just taking that and having Roger come out through my body and seeing what that looked like, and playing off of Kim's Sadie.
Well, I think I would echo everything that Sean just said. I mean, that's exactly how the rehearsals were. We did do some improv. And then the movie watching process. Also, Devani had a whole list of songs he wanted us to listen to, and that was the songs were what he thought our character would have been inspired by or listened to, or just something to get us more in touch with our character. So it was a really in-depth, full-on rehearsal process, and I've never experienced quite that way of rehearsing, and I have an appreciation for it. It was awesome. And Sean and I met outside of the studio as well and had our own one-on-one rehearsals. So I felt very connected to Sean. I mean, well, even right from the beginning, but more so once we started filming. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the way that the rehearsal process was designed was, first of all, such a luxury for film. Not that I have the most experience, but I know from what I've heard that usually usually you don't get that. Usually you meet someone on set and, all right, make out, or whatever the case may be. But having that luxury of time to really get to know each other as people, and as other actors, and really see, like, okay, what buttons can I press to get to light up Sadie a little bit. That's the wonderful thing about acting, is that you are finding the psychology behind your own behavior, but if you know someone, you can use that psychology and really play with see what happens with their behavior, especially when you have the time and luxury to do that. So it was lovely.
So I use a variety of different techniques. Substituting the character for someone in my past is there a little bit. Also fleshing out the backstory. I try not to stick to just one technique. I just sort of do whatever works. And that's what I learned from my wonderful acting coach, Anthony Abeson. He just says, whatever works, that's what you use. You don't have to stick to one thing.
I think maybe not in that conflict scene, if that's the one you're referring to, but there were definitely times where I needed to substitute either a person or like an as if or something like that, if we're gonna go into the actor's toolbox. But yeah, I come from a Meisner background, so it's not that we were repeating each other on set, like the sort of the joke of the Meisner technique. But I shouldn't say that it's the joke, but it's the outside of an acting class, joke. But yeah, I definitely as-if'd a lot, I think, for maturing youth. So outside of reading the script and just getting ideas from the words on the page, I found a lot of inspiration in watching Breaking Bad and in Jesse Pinkman, who is definitely a little bit more intense than Roger in terms of his vice of choice. But I definitely had that in the back of my mind while I was drumming up who Roger is.
So what was the inspiration for my character? Well, I don't like to give too much away, but I definitely really drew from my own life experiences. I mean, I don't have children, but I grew up around a lot of single mothers. My own parents were divorced, so I grew up in a I grew up in a single family household for much of the time. So I draw from people I know, my own life experiences. Oh, well, I mean, they have a history, and it didn't end very well. I mean, Sadie has been living on her own with a child, and from her own choice, I think she was homeless. She was sort of not wanting to grow up and like bumming on people's couches and things like that. So she's got a lot of pent-up resentment, I think. She's thinking of Roger being at home, living the good life, living off his mother's, rent checks or whatever it was that he was getting from his mom. So she's feeling angry, like she wants some of what he has. And she's asking why. Why is she in this situation?
So Roger is a creature is a person who, I guess, likes his creature comforts, and Sadie just comes back out of the blue into his life. He's done with her, as far as he knows, as far as he's concerned, and she just comes back into his life and starts making demands and trying to change him and change how his life is going, and that really upsets him. He's not too happy with that. So I think just the circumstances alone are enough to really get under his skin, I think. So I think the core issue with Roger is that he's got a little bit of the Peter Pan complex, and he just does not want to grow up. And luckily enough, this Sadie comes back into his life. I don't know what would have happened to Roger if she hadn't, because he needed something to jar him out of his basically sloth-like behavior, something to wake him up to the reality of the situation. Even if he didn't have a son, he still had to mature, for lack of a better word, and that was the impetus for him.
Well, I touched on this just in the last question. I think that Sadie is, first of all, I think it's important to know that she chose. She chose to leave Roger and not tell him that they had a son together. She chose to go and live the life that she was leading. And then at some point, I think she started to realize she needed some help. That she's doing this on her own, and there's someone else who can help her. So I think she was just thinking like, hey, why is he getting off scot-free? I don't want this to happen. He needs to be involved. So she had that realization. She's looking for help. Best part of being on set. I talked about this a little before in a different interview, but because everyone was sort of having fun a lot of the time. There's like drunk scenes and people are getting high and just having a great time. I'm coming back from being homeless, raising my son on my own. I'm in a really dark place when I arrived. So set was a little different for me at times because I was in a dark place when I'm preparing for my character. But watching my co-stars, I was so amazed by the talent that I was surrounded with. So that would definitely be the best thing. Yeah.
So this was a really fun set to work on. Everyone, first of all, it was incredibly well organized. Working with Chase Michael Pallanti, who produced it, it was like a well-oiled machine. So there was really nothing to worry about other than focusing on the acting. So then in the moments between scenes when there was setup or whenever we were going eating, the food was great. Food's always great. But there was a lot of camaraderie, a lot of joking around. Everything was really just relaxed, I think, and I really enjoyed getting to know everyone. For me, it's never difficult really to argue. I think conflict is probably the backbone of drama. So especially in reading the script and wanting to justify Roger, Sadie did a whole lot that got on Roger's nerves. And I think it's fair to say, the other way around. So I think working with Kim especially, it was very easy to just sink into the reality of what the characters were going through and just let each other have it.
Is your mama in Oklahoma? Both of you live there. Why did you bring him here?
He's your son! Either kick us out in the snow right now, or step up for once in your life and be something.
Sadie is a very angry person, in my opinion, and Sean is a wonderful person, but getting into the character when you see why she's upset and what she's angry about, it feels very justified. So, we're actors, we know I'm not yelling at Sean, I'm yelling at the character, so it wasn't too difficult. Yeah. There was.
How many times did you?
Oh no, I don't remember. But I think at least 5 times. Yeah. It's funny because we didn't get to do that many takes of a lot of the scenes. We were on a really tight schedule. We shot 30 pages in less than 3 days, but we did that scene.
More than that.
Okay, yeah.
It's close to 50 pages.
Yeah. So, but we did that one a few times. Had to get the right angles.
And the burping, was there a burping situation?
There was, but it didn't make it in the film, I don't think. Did it?
I
I don't think it made the final cut. And that was something that's very out of character for me. I would really just never do that in front of anybody on purpose. So that was a challenge. Yeah.
Yes, I would definitely say that my grandma Doris left a profound impact on me, just encouraging me to really go after my dream, no matter what it was. At one point, she was rah-rah, for me to be a doctor, then maybe a chef or a veterinarian. And unfortunately, she passed away a few years ago, thank you. So she doesn't know about maturing youth, but I know that she's with us, and in my corner.
So I would say my dad is the first person that comes to mind. I'm sure he's looking down on me from heaven right now. He was one of the hardest workers I've known. Everybody looked up to him because he worked really hard, and he could build anything. He built like a huge barn with an apartment in the upstairs. He didn't even have a blueprint. He just did it with the image in his mind. So yeah, he definitely stays with me, inspires me, and he loved movies. So I'm sure that wherever he is looking down, he's very excited for me.
Don't ask me, she came out of nowhere. It's like the thin air spat her back out at me. Sadie came back with a kid, Mom. I don't even know where to start, Sadie.
Step up for once in your life and be something.
In a city full of
I like my life the way it is. I've got no problems to worry about, no bills to pay, no people to see who I don't want to see, no job, no commitments. Hello there, ladies.
What do you have that we want?
I don't care if the little brat's bed gets built or not, okay? He's not my problem.
Well, baby, it looks like your good vibes lied to you this time.
Get out! Quit making me chase you, you little brat! Come take a shower, I don't do run. Oh, girl.
You're 32, Roger. You're gonna have to start growing up sometime.
Fine! The hell with you, why should I care? Eat all the sugar you want! Junior, where are you?